Love is meaningless, but I'm not letting myself feel that way, and I'm fighting it by blaming somebody, mad at somebody, or planning one thing or another so to be successful, instead of saying, no, I just feel like a failure. No, as I said, it's simple, but not easy. Human beings generally rarely leave themselves alone. I mean, we rarely leave our experience to be what it is. We're always commenting on it, critiquing it, dialoguing with it, pushing in it, pulling in it, manipulating it, trying to twist it, trying to move it to a certain direction or another, toward this kind of experience or another, make it go one direction or another, but just to let it be, it's like that would be impossible for us. In fact, not easy, difficult to do. So the practice is basically seeing how we interfere with ourselves, how we interfere, how we try to manipulate, how we try to change our experience. See, and that can happen anyway. We can be sitting in meditation, seeing, just be there, not do anything. All you need to do is be aware what you're doing to yourself, how you're not just sitting. Like when I'm sitting, and when I said, let's sit and meditate, I said, you make up something. What I made up, I sat down and did nothing. I didn't even pay attention to my breath. I didn't count anything. I didn't visualize anything. I just really sat down. For most of us, we don't let ourselves do that. We're always busy doing something or another. Not leave that inner space, just be whatever it is, undisturbed. So the beginning of the practice is basically, whether I'm sitting or I'm talking with somebody or I'm driving my car, I'm simply aware of myself, aware of my experience, and recognizing, understanding that not doing anything to my experience is the most compassionate, loving thing I could do to myself. And if I see that I am meddling with my experience, I cease and desist. That's all I do. And ceasing and desisting is not doing something to my manipulation. See how it gets subtle now? Because when you say, okay, now when you see how I'm manipulating, you just don't manipulate. When I say don't manipulate, I don't mean do something to not manipulate. See, that's how most of us, our mind jumps on. How do you not manipulate? How you do not interfere? You have to do something to not interfere. But the moment you do something to not interfere, you're interfering. You see? That's the dilemma. You see? And it doesn't matter whether what we're experiencing is hatred, fear, love, or ultimate enlightenment. It doesn't really matter. The question is the interference. The interesting thing that happens, if we allow ourselves to just be where we are, not try to be in any particular state, not try to live according to an ideal, not try to corral our consciousness toward an enlightened or spiritual ideal. You see, just let ourselves be alone. Let our experience be alone. What we discover is that our experience begins simply to transform, to change on its own, because our experience is always changing. If we look at your experience, always moving from one thing to another. You don't feel only the same thing with the same state all day long. It's always transforming. However, what we discover is because of our meddling, it keeps transforming in some kind of loops. staying in the same loop over and over again. And when we find ways of recognizing how we're interfering with it, how we're meddling with our experience, and find a way of ceasing and desisting, which means recognizing it, and the recognition by itself at some point will make that meddling stop. It's like you'll see you're meddling, you see you're interfering, you see you're judging yourself, you see you're critiquing yourself, you see you're planning your life, you see how you're trying to change your experience, and how that's making you miserable, how you're feeling frustrated. And at some point, when you realize you can't really stop it, and you give up, at some point, it stops. But we sort of need to get to the point of giving up. And usually we don't give up easily. As long as we believe we can do something about it, we will try to do it. And we all have this very deep conviction we could do something about it. See, we all have this deep conviction and it is normal, I mean, nothing wrong with us, because that's how the world goes. We do something about things. When something needs attending, you attend to it. When something needs fixing, you fix it. If you need to live, you go make money. Because the outer world is like that. The outer world, the physical world, the environment we live in requires a proactive kind of activity and engagement and things and interaction for things to really happen for our life for us to survive and for our life to improve. And that becomes instituted in our mind as an approach to everything, including our inner experience. That's what really happens. It's the whole thing. You can't blame it on evolution, actually. Life evolved in such a way that we needed to take care of our physical world to be able to survive, and our brain developed to automatically do things so that we can survive. And that we are now conditioned, both by the development of our brain and by how we learn from the people around us to always do something. Even when we're not doing something, we're not passive, we're still doing something. We're not really leaving things alone. So the doing nothing, when the Chinese say wei in action, they don't mean you don't do anything outside. They mean you don't do anything to your insides. You see, it doesn't mean quietude or inaction, which is what people thought the Chinese meant. That's not what it meant. But that outer need to handle things become instituted in our consciousness as a mechanical and as an automatic, habitual way of dealing with anything, including our inner experience. And it becomes a bitch stopping it when it comes to our inner experience. And the tricky thing is, how do you continue doing it outside and not doing it inside? You see, that's not easy. You see. So anyway, I'm recommending or suggesting a kind of way of being where the guiding principle to find where we are, what I am, to recognize what my experience is, and not do anything about it, but just to let it reveal what it is its meaning. What's it about? If I'm feeling sad, if I'm feeling hurt, if I'm getting excited, or I'm scared, or seem to be happy, what's that about? And if we know something about the ground of true nature, we will see that if you let it happen, reveal itself, it will self-uncurl and open up like a flower, and to reveal more what it is. That's the nature of our consciousness. If it is not interfered with, and not corralled, not directed, it will open up, just like that, and reveal more about itself. It might reveal that you're scared because you're feeling empty, or might reveal that you're feeling empty because you lost somebody, or you might feel that you're happy because you just got proposed. All of this might happen.